Good morning. Welcome and thank you for joining us. My name is Kat Rocketship. My pronouns are they, them, and you've tuned into the $1 Billion Relief Lobby Day put on by members of Iowa CCI Action Fund. We're about to go live at the State House, and as we begin, the Iowa State House and the CCI Action headquarters are located in Des Moines, Iowa. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is the traditional, ancestral, and unceded land of the Iowa, Sac, and Meskwaki peoples. We offer our respect to their elders, both past and present, and to future generations. We recognize that our presence here today is the result of ongoing exclusion and erasure of Indigenous peoples who were the original stewards of this land. As these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, let the ties these nations have to their traditional homelands be strengthened, renewed, and reaffirmed. And just as we acknowledge and recognize that our country's foundation is built on stolen land, we must also recognize that the country was built on stolen labor. We acknowledge the people from Africa, Asia, and South and Central Americas whose involuntary and exploited labor created the wealth of this country and the backbone of the system of capital we live under. The world we live in today has been built on the systemic injustices of chattel slavery and the exploitation of immigrants, and the theft of land and genocide of her people. As we recognize these historic and continuing systemic injustices, we lift up our voices for a future that is equitable and just, one where settlers like myself and those of us who benefit from those dynamics make amends for the wounds we've created in order for them to heal. Now, we're about to go live at the State House for Iowa CCI Action Fund's $1 Billion Relief Lobby Day.
Good morning, Iowa. It's great to be here with you today in the State House Rotunda. My name is Sheree Ortiz, and I am Board President of Iowa Citizens for Community Improvement Action Fund. Today, the condition of everyday Iowans is the worst it has been in generations, the result of long-standing economic, environmental, and societal problems accelerated by the global COVID-19 pandemic. The weight and burden of unnecessary suffering and death from COVID in families across our state is unprecedented. And all those factors have been made worse by the willful recklessness and incompetent leadership of Governor Reynolds in a federal government that has prioritized corporate profits over the welfare of essential workers, immigrants, the sick, and our elderly family members. Our nursing homes in Iowa are just one tragic example of the failure of this state administration to finance and provide oversight and real authority to officials to carry out directives that ensure workers are properly equipped and safe, and every resident in a nursing home is well cared for. But instead, many have become sick and far too many have died. My mother passed on April 4th, 2020 from COVID-related circumstances that could have been avoided, even with the lockdown in nursing homes. But state standards allow low staffing numbers, and the lockdown made it impossible for staff to meet the needs of every resident. Corporate ownership of the nursing homes places profits before care, and this governor supports that. Our recovery as a state has been hamstrung by a governor that refuses to mitigate the spread of COVID with clear mandates and directives to control contagion. Instead, we all know people who are sick or trying to recover, many suffering from the long-term consequences of infection or have died. Economic recovery will not and cannot be achieved with so many people afraid to go outside. Willfully ignoring our needs for transparency and compassion has left us carrying the burden of ongoing sadness and hardship. Many workers are living paycheck to paycheck because of low wages and hours cut. More than 500,000 Iowans have filed for unemployment. More and more Iowans depend on food banks for food necessities. Governor Reynolds' failed leadership is clear. Reynolds ended the reporting of workplace COVID outbreaks soon after big outbreaks in meat processing plants left many workers sick. She shielded giant grocers, meat packers, and other corporations from liability at the expense of factory workers, consumers, and the elderly living in care centers. She now refuses to request or take White House task force reports on Iowa in an attempt to hide our dire circumstances when compared to other states. These federal reports often urge stronger action to mitigate spread. There is no transparency in how Iowa reports COVID data. Independent data analysis shows much higher levels of contagion in our counties than what is reported by the Iowa Department of Health. Reynolds has taken away school districts' local control to decide when to go virtually online without a state waiver. And now our schools have become victims of COVID spread, with class sizes becoming too big because there aren't enough substitutes. Teachers are getting sick and some have died. Reynolds also used CARES Act money for her own personal projects and political paybacks instead of using it for its intended purpose to mitigate spread of COVID and directly help all the families that they need. Folks, it doesn't have to be this way. There is a path to recovery. There is a path for stability. There is a path for healthy neighborhoods and communities and towns across the state. With the right kind of leadership, strategies, and allocation of funds, Iowa can once again be a place to be proud of. I'm going to turn this over to Jaime to continue this discussion.
My name is Jaime Zagiri, and I'm a member of Iowa CCI Action Fund. I want to echo what Cherie said for a moment. This pandemic has lifted the curtains for many and exposed the cracks and crises that have existed in this system for decades. People struggling to pay for housing, to receive health care, receive an adequate and safe education, factory farms and water pollution, all of that. I also want to take a moment to talk about my uncle from West Liberty. In June of last year, my uncle caught COVID. It's been 6 months since then, and he's developed severe neurological issues that cause him to have tremors, so bad that he can no longer work, so bad that it wakes him up in the middle of the night. He's not even making count of what he used to make on government assistance. Every month, every single month, because of Kim Reynolds, his family has to decide whether they want to pay his medical bills or if he wants to put food on the table and shelter over their heads. That's not right. I talk to my cousin all the time, and she tells me she feels alone. She feels abandoned and helpless. I feel alone. I feel abandoned, and I feel helpless. My uncle's story and stories like it are because Governor Reynolds would rather prioritize corporate profits over people's lives. She continuously pops up this idea that we can either save the economy or we can save people's lives. But that's a false choice. Because I'll tell you what, my uncle's not doing well. And I know that if my uncle's not doing well and working people aren't doing well, this economy is not doing well. Before, during, and after this pandemic, we needed and need Governor Reynolds to stop governing with corporations and govern with people. We need that because we know that the people closest to the problems are closest to the solutions. And the solutions to us are clear. We need free COVID-19 testing, treatment, and vaccination by expanding Medicaid to all Iowans for the duration of the pandemic. We need an extension on the eviction and foreclosure moratorium through the end of 2021. with a rent and mortgage assistance fund for tenants, homeowners, and small businesses. We need a minimum wage increase to $15 an hour. Positive pay for essential workers. Guaranteed paid sick leave and the right to form a union. We need all of that, and we need more. We need all this in a form of a $1 billion pandemic relief plan. That's right. Now I'm going to pass it back to Cherie.
Thank you, Jaime. We're going to be hearing from some other people across the state right now, and I think that's going to be live streamed.
That's right. We've got a few videos to share as well. We've got a small crowd down at the State House today, but we know because of the COVID-19 pandemic, many people couldn't make it. So we've got a few CCI members from across the state who've shared their experiences and why we need $1 billion in relief right now.
Hi, I'm Kathy Gloss, and I'm a proud Iowa CCI Action Fund member. In this new year, we must never forget the tremendous loss of lives and the loss of nearly 500,000 jobs in Iowa in 2020. For those that have lost so much, you're in our thoughts and prayers. But thoughts and prayers alone can't fix a system that has been and continues to be broken. We must stand together to address the inequities in our economy, our environment, and in our society that this pandemic has only further exposed. Let's face it, long before the pandemic, both our state and federal government have been placing the interests of corporations over the lives of our people. More Iowans than ever are struggling to survive. Food insecurity and poverty are at all-time highs, and Iowans continue to struggle to get by. CCI Action Fund has released a budget proposal for a $1 billion pandemic relief fund. This fund would invest in emergency health care for all Iowans, provide hazard pay for essential workers, ensure paid sick leave, affordable child care, and supports economic and social supports for teachers, students, homeowners, tenants, and small businesses. CCI Action members have the answers that we need to truly turn the condition of our state around. The fund would use combined rainy day funds along with calling on the Iowa legislature to take the steps needed to make out-of-state corporations finally pay their fair share of taxes. Combined, the $1 billion pandemic relief fund will infuse an investment in Iowa's workers and communities that sorely need it. I wholeheartedly support CCI Action's call for this bold and much-needed relief for Iowans. And like so many of my fellow CCI Action members, we understand that we can't sustain our politics as usual approach because it hasn't worked in the past and it won't work now. It's time Governor Reynolds puts the needs of everyday Iowans first instead of corporations. We're here today to let all Iowans know that there is a better path forward, and we're ready to fight for real change, change that lifts up Iowans so that we have a more just and democratic Iowa where all Iowans thrive. I want to thank my Iowa CCI Action Fund members for your steadfast commitment and grassroots activism, because it's the only way that we can hold our government and elected officials accountable to us, the people of Iowa. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Glenn Hurst. I'm a family practice physician in Minden, Iowa, and this is one of the exam rooms in my clinic. I'm also on the city council for our community of about 600 people. And what I've noticed that we're lacking in our community and across the state has been an example of leadership. When I go to city council meetings, up until a couple months ago, I was the only person that ever wore a mask in the meeting. When I went to the local grocery store, I'm the only person in a mask in our community. When I go to the restaurant to pick up my takeout, I hear comments under people's breath, "What's that on his face?" as they chuckle amongst themselves. This is because we've had no demonstration of leadership from the very top of this state to take this condition seriously. The lip service paid on television is in complete opposition to the behaviors and the requests for social distancing, mask wearing, that we should have been seeing from the very start. The state of our community is bleak.
Hello, my name is Stacy Walker, and I serve as the chairperson of the Lynn County Board of Supervisors. I want to start by thanking each and every one of you for your commitment to the working people of this state. Your presence at the Capitol today is more than symbolic. You all are the living, breathing heirs of a progressive movement that has always understood that grassroots organizing is the key to change. We, the people, will create the kind of equitable and sustainable future that we deserve. We are in a brave new reality. The coronavirus has ravaged our economy and left thousands of Iowans dead or on the brink of a destitute existence. And we know that it didn't have to be this way. Our leaders at the state and federal level have failed us. They failed to meet the enormity of this challenge, but we've come together to demand more and to make sure they hear our voices. I am proud to support Iowa CCI Action's $1 billion Pandemic Relief Fund, which includes emergency health care for all Iowans, hazard pay for essential workers, paid sick leave, and other economic and social supports, critical resources that can very well save lives. The age-old question that gets asked in politics, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? What about 1 year ago? Well, the facts can speak to that question for all of us. We've reached record levels of unemployment. Our hospitals are filled with patients suffering from a virus that our governor refuses to honor. Small businesses are closing their doors. Our children are navigating unprecedented challenges just to receive an education, and there is no sign of relief on the horizon. Our Republican friends in state and federal government have instead decided that it's more important for large corporations and the super rich to receive tax cuts. And this is unacceptable. We here today are demanding a better future. And through your efforts today and in the months and years ahead, we will achieve this goal. We will help our neighbors, and we will build an Iowa we can all be proud of. We, the people, will have the final say. Thank you.
That's right. Thank you to Stacy Walker, Glenn Hurst, Kathy Glosson, Sheree Ortiz, and Jaime Izaguirre for speaking out today and being part of the $1 billion Relief Lobby Day. Iowans need relief, and we can get it. If you'd like to learn more about our plan, you can read the plan in its entirety at bit.ly/Iowa-plan. That's bit.ly/Iowa-plan. That lays out what we need versus what we've been getting. You can also get updates every week with our weekly legislative update email. You can sign up at bit.ly/CCI-emails. That's bit.ly/CCI-emails. Both of those are case sensitive. And you can take action today by contacting Governor Reynolds. Reach out to her aide, Sarah Craig, and tell her that we need the $1 billion in relief. We need healthcare. We need guaranteed wages. We need paid sick leave. We need housing protections. You can email Sarah Craig at sarah.craig@iowa.gov or give her a call at 515-725-3501. Thank you. Take care.